This is Slam Hockey with your hosts, Peter Bojarinoff and Paul Swinbeck. Welcome to Jablam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Bojarinoff. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I am with
Paul Zwambag. You can find me at Zwambag, Z-W-A-M-B-A-G. How's it going, everybody? Peter, what's up?
I don't know, Paul. How's the connection so far?
It's great. Take 3. We're good. Let's do this.
Good. Connection hasn't been great today for some reason. Keep up with us, Skype, please. All right. Let's get first into it. Paul, how did we do with our Saturday's picks? What, the last 2 weeks?
We're not very good. Yeah, we had a week off. I came down with some sort of sickness. It wasn't good. I think I had some pub food and just did not go over well after volleyball, and I was out of commish for the whole weekend. So luckily we still did Saturday's picks. I'm going to blame me being sick on my horrible Saturday picks. And
just so you know, Montana's is not one of our sponsors, right, Paul?
That is correct. And it was not Montana's. It was the Gator Tail in Cambridge.
Oh, okay. You didn't tell me that, but all right.
Yeah, not good food. Anyways, I went 4-9 last week. You went 7-6, so you still kept the above 500. The week before, we both went 5-8. So we're kind of struggling. We got to get back on pace.
I think we're going to get more about talking into this when we talk about training now. But I do think it's the new coaches are tricking us a bit too, though. Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure we haven't been picking Islanders, Blues, Bruins, Panthers. We just think they're washed up. I haven't picked Tampa Bay because what Atcha said a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, she tricked us on that one.
Yeah.
I blame Atcha for the Tampa Bay picks, that's for sure. Otherwise, I'm feeling better. I'm doing well at the gym, and checked the scale today. I lost a few more pounds. Oh yeah!
All right.
And work was busy too. I got to do the that pre-Grammy show at City. That was pretty fun.
So you got to see all the red carpet stuff.
The red carpet stuff. We had our own pre-party stuff, and wow, I'll say there was quite a few many beautiful ladies there.
Interesting. How was craft services?
That was okay. I don't know if because we were a part of the production, none of us really ate the food until later, so it tasted good, but the bread was a little hard. Maybe it was just because it was out for a while. I don't know.
Old sandwiches, never good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and the party was pretty cool.
We're really opening up behind the scenes here. We talk about how many takes we're taking on recording. We're talking about behind the scenes television. Oh man, this is exciting for all these hockey fans listening.
Oh yeah, they love hearing about the Grammys behind the scene. I know. Well, you know what? They're probably doing that with the Steve Dangle show and Adam Wilde because he was on the carpet doing his stuff. So there you go. We got our own part of the camera part behind the scenes. But let's get into the episode then. What do we have this episode? We are team ISOing the Boston Bruins with special guest Bree from Days of Yore. Paul and I are doing a compare. I picked them out. Florida versus the Leafs. I'm going to have to protect my Leafs, I guess, right, Paul?
Yep. Maybe. I'm not going with the Leafs. That's a spoiler right there.
Fantasy up and down. Paul has a few up and downs for us. And then I'm going to finish up with some trade rumors. But first, trending now. We are recording this Thursday night. Paul, what happened on the ice for the Penguins?
Sidney Crosby happened. 1,000 points. Congratulations, Sid. Well done.
Congrats, Sid. So, of course, it was a nice reverse spin pass kind of thing. What happened exactly?
Oh, he back-checked. I think he out-strengthened Blake Wheeler, I think it was. I didn't really see it, the number, 26 or 28. Kind of tough. And then spun around, passed it over to, I believe, I don't know who scored the actual goal, but he got the assist. And, think he's like the 11th youngest or something, or I don't know what the stats are. I don't have them in front of me.
Crazy, and he's playing with young guys too. Like he's playing with Gunsel a lot now lately.
Yeah, playing with Sheary before he got hurt.
Yeah, so he's doing it with young guys.
Phrasing
that aren't even considered, in my opinion, top 6, or at least right now. You know.
And
So
he's now back with Chris Kunitz, which is kind of nerve-wracking, but...
Yeah, that is odd.
And the stat I wanted to point out was to catch Wayne Gretzky, his record point totals, he would need to keep pace of what he's scoring right now, 1.32 points per game, and play 1,400 more games from after tonight's game. Wow. So he's 757th game tonight. So he'd only be a third of the way done his career. Not going to happen. Wayne Gretzky is not getting touched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. He's unless, you know what? We didn't talk about this because we probably would have talked about it last week, but the goalies haven't been the greatest, and especially changing up the rules with the goalie pads, you know, it might increase scoring. I don't know. In my opinion, it kind of has in the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, and I shouldn't say never, because if they ever go to like 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, which would be absolutely insane, the scoring's going to skyrocket again, and there's going to have to be asterisks on all the records. And I also want to point out, we didn't put this in the notes, Peter. Jaromir Jagr scored his 1900th point.
Nice. Was that on his birthday?
45th birthday. That is correct.
Wow. Yeah.
What a man. I think every time we bring up Jagr, we're both just blown away with what kind of a human being he is. He's ridiculous.
He's a beauty. He's the biggest beauty in the NHL. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's move on to what we were going to talk, and what we mentioned earlier, I think, was the coaches. So we're going to talk, obviously, a little bit more about Julien in our Team ISO. But, wow, like, all these new coaches are doing really well. Can they keep it up? I don't know. I think it's a bit of a honeymoon thing. You know, you want to look good in front of your coach. You're pissed off that your old coach is gone. You want to stay on this team. So Julien's, we haven't seen him obviously yet for the Habs. Doug Waite's killing us. He had, the 5 straight road trip wins. I think that's the first in Blues history that they've won the whole long road trip.
Isles history?
Isles. See, again, Paul, we mentioned this before the podcast, before the record. I don't know how old I am, but when I look at Doug Waite's name, I'm thinking immediately, I think Blues, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the first thing you would think? I don't know. When I see Mike Yo's name, I immediately think the Wild.
Which I go with the Pens, which is even older. So
even older. And then when I see Bruce Cassidy's name, I think of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
And obviously, that is just before everybody's time. All the people listening to this have no idea what you're talking about. 1969, folks. Peter was 15.
Yeah.
No, how old were you?
Oh my goodness. No, I was not that old. But it's kind of like the song by Bryan Adams, the summer of was it 69, 79, summer of 79 or something like that. But that's like almost like when he was like 3 years old. What's he know about that summer, right?
Exactly.
So there you go.
I like how you bring up a music question and I just go quiet. I'm just like, I'm not answering. Nope, I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't even know the song you're talking about.
I know a bit about the music. But yes, the Isles, right? Doug Waite, the Isles. Okay. 5 straight row wins.
8-3-2 since taking over. That is just impressive.
Where's the Blues? Oh my God. Anyways, I'm confused. I think it's the Blues with the 5 straight road wins, though. But yes, Waite with that record. All of them are playing well. Even Bruce Cassidy has 3 straight wins now for the Bruins too.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I think that's the factor. It's the players are playing harder for their new coaches, and they want to look good in front of their coach, because if it's a new coach, he does, like, especially if it's not maybe not so much a Waite or Yo, but you know, he might want to change up things. And if you know that the coaches wants to change up things, you're going to play harder in front of him instantly to show that you want to be on the top power play line, on the top lines, right?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what Bree says about Julien being let go in Boston. That'll be an interesting question to hear what the fan base and what her site Days of Yore is thinking on that whole thing.
For sure, they probably got something out there too, and they probably talked about it. So we'll get more about that. But yeah, I don't know too with some of these teams, like if they can keep it up. Blues, I expected them to, but the Bruins, I don't know with Bruce if the Bruins can keep this up and still be in contention. I don't know if they can. And that's why we're going to be doing the compare with the Leafs and the Panthers, because I think they have good chances to maybe even both catch the Bruins. So we'll see about that. And another thing is, that's it, I think, for trending now.
That's it. You got no other trending nows?
I thought I did, but you know me, I'm always lost. Did I have something else?
Suspensions?
That's
it. I guarantee
you
want to talk about suspensions. We should have just skipped it. Man, that was my chance of not listening to you talk about suspensions.
I didn't write it down. All right, the main ones that everybody's talking about right now, of course, is number one is obviously the Nyquist one happened earlier. So I don't know what people are expecting out of this. Did Nyquist want to take out another player's eye? I don't think so. Was he really wanting to hit him right in the face as well? I don't know. By the reaction, it's so quick and fast on the ice, and then people see slow motions when they're actually checking them out online and stuff. It's a tough. I really think he wanted to cross-check him kind of thing into the body, and he just kind of whipped back and hit him right in the face, almost in the eye. Yes, he could have lost an eye. We don't know. There's been so many. But I think the precedent here is that Duncan Keith got 6 games. Yeah. How can you give him more than a Duncan Keith? In my opinion, this is my opinion. I think Keith's because his whip reaction looked much more vicious, in my opinion. Maybe it was less close to the eye, but it looked vicious. And again, Keith is a repeat offender. Not only that is maybe it's only his second suspension, but there's been even more instances where he could have been suspended as well. Nyquist, on the other hand, is not this type of player at all. And I see a lot of players like McGrattan, Zach Ronaldo are coming out and saying, if I did this, yes, maybe if you did this, you would have got suspended. Is it because he played a different style than a Nyquist? Very possibly so, in my opinion. But again, it's his first time, and that's why, in my opinion, 6, yes, it could have been a little bit more, maybe 10 games. But again, if you set a precedent to Keith giving him 6, their hands are a little bit tied there with giving him 6 as well. Right?
Yeah, and I think Nyquist was a lot of reactionary. Like, didn't he get chopped pretty good? I don't remember before what happened, but didn't he get chopped and it was kind of like what are you doing to me? Like, and he kind of just turned and wanted to, like you said, cross-check him, and he ended up hitting him in the face, and it turned into kind of a spear because his stick got out of hand, and he definitely deserves some games because he definitely speared him in the face. I don't think it was intentional by any means.
He definitely deserved 6 games. And in my opinion, maybe he deserved a little bit more. But how are you going to give him 8, maybe 10 games? Or some people want a bajillion games, of course, the crazy people. But when you set precedents, it's so hard to change. And the key thing happened just last year, not even 12 months ago. It's like only 8 months ago or whatever. So I don't know what the NHL could have really done. But again, this is on his record now. So if he does anything within the near future, 2 or 3 years from now or less, he's going to get hammered much harder. So that's how it goes. And then when you go with Vermette, I don't mind this penalty. It looks so chintzy, the slash that Vermette did on the official. We're going to post all of them on Jablem Hockey, both GIFs or videos of these infractions. It's so small, but it's an official. And there's a set rule in the NHL. It's 10 games. And I don't mind it. It does suck that it's such a small infraction, but it's built up anger over the duration of the game because Vermette didn't like the way the ref was calling it, and he hit the referee. What do you want?
Yeah,
you're going to get 10 games.
I have no idea what he was thinking there. Like, there's no way you should even be thinking of hitting a ref. Like, and good for the NHL just setting an example saying you can't touch the refs. 10 games, done. Like, you can't touch them. It's just like if you push them in a scrum, you can't push them. You can't miss a punch and hit a referee. That's just not allowed to happen. It's protecting the refs, which is very good.
And then other people are talking about, oh, so you're giving this guy 10 games and only 6 games tonight. No, there's been a precedent on both instances. There's rules in the book, 10 games minimum with the ref, and that's what it is. It's a straight black and white line rule. So you're gonna have to go with it, and that's it. You can't touch a ref. You cannot do that.
No, and they're not getting paid millions and millions of dollars. So these guys are basically doing it as a hobby.
Yeah, these refs, they've worked their butts off just to get to the NHL and be an NHL ref. With all the other leagues that they've worked their butts off to get there, and the years that they've spent, because they're fans of the league as well.
Yeah, and they travel just as much too.
So they're missing their family members as well, refereeing these games for them. So they need protection. Just like I love protecting the goalies, the refs need to be protected just as much or even more.
Agreed.
Time for this week's Team ISO segment of the Boston Bruins. Of course, for Team ISO, we talk more about one specific team. You got our opinion, Paul and mine. Last year, this year, you're going out there and asking people who know more about the team specifically, and this week's guest is Bree. You can follow her on Twitter at DOYBREE. And Bree, you're writer for Days of Yore?
I am. Yep, have been for a couple seasons.
Perfect. So first off, you're not from Boston. Where are you from?
I am actually from Medicine Hat, Alberta. Born, raised, moved away, moved back.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you raised Canadian. So you started skating at what age? 3 years old?
Pretty much, yeah. I think as soon as I was 3, I had the skates on and I was on the ice.
Perfect. So how did you get into the whole writing thing and then writing for Days of Yore?
Well, I've always liked writing and I've always liked hockey. So I actually got my start at Sports Rants, then moved from Sports Rants to the Hockey Writers, from the Hockey Writers to Arctic Ice Hockey, where I covered the Winnipeg Jets, which is, my husband's from Winnipeg, so it made sense. Nice. And then I've always actually been a Boston fan. So Days of Yore was looking for a new writer. I applied. I got chosen to make the final cut, but I didn't actually get chosen at that point in time. Marshall and another gentleman, Chip, did. Chip's no longer with us. He doesn't write for us anymore. But I actually made friends with the guys, and I kind of ingratiated myself in their little circle to the point that it was like, oh, we'll get you to do a guest post. And then the guest post turned into another guest post, and then it turned into, hey, do you just want to do this with us? And I went, cool, I'm in.
Perfect. Nice.
Yeah.
So let's get into it now. Claude Julien. First off, what's your reaction for him being fired, and maybe with the fans? Was it just time, or they haven't made the playoffs in a couple years? They might make it this year, though. It looks like they should. So that's kind of odd that they did it now, maybe?
I think, honestly, if you look back over the history, the writing has kind of been on the wall for Claude Julien for a while. Mm-hmm. There's been rumors, like weeks prior to him actually being let go, there were rumors out there that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely wanted him gone. The timing of it was weird. I'm all about change. If it's not working, then change it. And I'm not crying about Claude being gone. I'm more pissed off at everything that happened around him being let go and how it was done.
Yeah. So tell us more about how that happened.
Okay,
with
so
all the different things going on.
Yeah, so it happened on a day right after the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and they were having their parade, and it was announced in the middle of their parade or their big festivities that the Bruins had let Claude Julien go. And then they held a press conference at, I believe, 11:30 in the morning while the Patriots parade is going on and all of the media is there. Yeah. So it seemed like a really sneaky, underhanded, kind of horrible way to handle it, and kind of disrespectful to Claude as well. As much as he maybe needed to go, he did so much for the Bruins organization that it seemed kind of like a slap in the face to kind of shove it underneath another team's success and just kind of hide it. Yeah, that seemed more of like kind of what they wanted to do. I don't think they wanted to pull any stunts. No. But at least hide the firing of Claude. Yeah.
So now, how do you like the Montreal Canadiens, a huge rival, even for us Leaf fans, for myself? They fire Therrien and they bring back Julien over there. This happens like within almost less than a week, obviously. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's going to rock it out over there, seriously. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm kind of on the fence about Claude Julien, to be honest. Did I think he needed to be fired? Maybe. But was he the only problem? Absolutely not. Other things need to be done in order to make the Bruins successful. I don't think him as the scapegoat for everything that's gone wrong is working. So I think he's going to do well in Montreal. Yeah, I am kind of jealous that they managed to get him. And I think they signed him to like a 5-year term, which is almost ridiculous, but it's Claude Julien, so of course you want to, right?
So it's going to be interesting now, a huge rival, and now the coach is there. But how do you feel so far now with the team kind of playing a lot better now under Cassidy? Why so?
Okay, so we have raved and ranted about this at Days of Yore for a long time.
Okay.
I personally think that this is not that Bruce Cassidy is like the Jesus who's going to save the team. I think this is more we're seeing a team losing their coach who they all, for all intents and purposes, still adored. And now they're responding by saying, well, crap, we got him fired because we didn't perform. We better start performing. So this is just reactionary to that. I don't think this has anything to do with Bruce Cassidy himself. Yeah.
So then the follow-up question is easy. Are they going to keep this up? So is it just the new hangover, the team, the coach change, and they're just playing well right now? It's only going to last 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then they're going to slowly revert back?
Potentially. I don't know. It kind of really depends what Cassidy does with the lines. They've looked really good the past couple of games since he took the reins, just because the lines have seemed a little bit better. They called up Peter Cehlarik, who I am madly in love with. We'll talk about him in a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, and if he deploys the lines, that was my big problem with Claude Julien. Like, there's no reason Jimmy Hayes should be out there on the power play. Sorry for the swear. I don't know if we swear here, but
that's okay.
But I swear, there's no reason that a player like Jimmy Hayes should be on the power play, but Claude would put him out there. Or like in the final minutes of a tied game in the third period, he would throw out like Adam McQuaid. So those are my questions about Claude. Now, if Cassidy can start using the team a little bit better and deploying them correctly, we might see them continue to improve. But it's going to take the team coming together and deciding that, hey, we're not just going to go on a ride of glory here and win a couple games. We're actually going to buckle down and do this for the rest of the season.
We'll see. Now, let's go to off-season acquisitions that haven't looked so good. Is Backes just not fitting well with the team so far? Is that it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I absolutely hate the Backes contract so much.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that David Backes on the team is a bad idea. I actually don't mind David Backes. I don't think he's not a detriment, that's for sure. I mean, he's done some questionable things and got some stupid penalties, but on the whole, I would have taken him on my team. It's the contract and the money involved that kind of makes me wonder, because like he's 32 years old now and he signed to a 5-year, $6 million per year contract. What is that nonsense? Yeah.
So it's the length of the contract and how he's going to keep up, especially the way he plays.
Yep,
in
most definitely.
The years 4 and 5. But is it not that different from Bolesky a little bit?
Oh, yeah. He is an improvement over Bolesky, that's for sure. I don't understand Bolesky. I had such high hopes for him, and I have been, I don't know, I feel like I've been lied to. He lied to me.
So then with all of this going on with these contracts, then you have the Backes contract, Bolesky's contract, and then the guys that you want to keep on the team.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you going to have to – is it time to do a bit of a pivot and trade a player like Krejci? Because you're going to have to re-sign guys like Spooner and, of course, a guy like, you know who, David Pastrnak. Right?
Pastrnak, yeah.
Pastrnak, sorry.
Yeah, Pastrnak.
Again.
Pasta. Pastrnak, yeah. A Ryan Spooner, I don't necessarily know if he will be re-signed. He has been trade bait for so many different things, I think. But see, that's another thing I don't know. With Claude gone, who really knows? Because Claude hated Ryan Spooner, and I'm just going to put it out there. He hated the kid's face. Like, I don't know. Ryan Spooner could do everything right, and Claude Julien would still, like, tear him apart and say, well, he could be better. So I don't really know what's even going to happen. I don't think they would trade David Krejci. Should they? I don't know. He's one of my borderline players. A lot of people in Bruins world love David Krejci. I find sometimes I want to punch him in the face because he's just not producing to where he should be.
Or was the last 3 years ago, right?
Exactly. So, but then if you look at production, he's got the same amount of goals as Patrice Bergeron this year and more assists.
Mm-hmm. But then he plays more or less on the second type line, and then so he doesn't play against top lines on the opposition, right? So
that is true.
It's, vis-a-vis how you play. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a big question mark. I don't know. In my opinion, I'm still a Krejci fan, but in my opinion, if the Bruins want to improve, maybe for down the line, maybe it is time to move on from him, or maybe it is a little bit a year removed from that. But why is my boy Brad Marchand still playing so well and even better this year?
I don't know, but I love him. Yeah. I love him so much. He is fantastic. He has actually really grown up. Honestly, he still has his moments where he behaves like a child on the ice, but they're coming fewer and far between. He seems to be more dialed into actually what's happening out there, as opposed to, I don't know, making kissing faces at the Vancouver crowd. And yeah, he seems to have just really matured.
What are you going to do?
That's true, but he seems to have really matured, and I don't know if it's life changes for him. I know in his personal life he's had to mature, so yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe that is it. The other question I kind of want to ask, because being a Leaf fan, we had John Michael Isles on our team, I don't know, about 3 years ago now, and we basically gave him away for nothing. He couldn't even make the Leafs when they were at their worst.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Canes, and he could barely keep up with them. And now he's on the Bruins. How is he still on an NHL lineup and still playing for the Bruins? It's kind of odd, no?
Yeah. At the beginning of the season, I actually had no problems with him. He was not the world's greatest player, but he wasn't a detriment. He was a solid player compared to the rest of the players. He was pretty solid. He made himself look good because the rest of them suck so much. But now he went away with a concussion injury, and honestly, Pez and I were talking, and we were actually kind of surprised that he was actually even coming back. That looked like a career-ending injury, and he hasn't come back the same. Yeah. He is most definitely a different player, a different guy. I can't see him staying too much longer. I was surprised actually when they re-signed him.
Yeah.
Because they chose to re-sign him, and I went, okay.
And it's not a jab at Lyles. I still like him, and I actually kind of like him as a Leaf. I just don't know if he's consistently NHL capable anymore. So
no,
yeah.
Yeah, I say especially since that injury happened in the beginning of the season. He was a serviceable defenseman before. But since then, I don't want to say he's not functional, but he's not functioning to where he was even before the injury.
Oh,
so,
that's too bad.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because I do tend to like him. I want to see him do good things, but he's just not.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah. All right, Paul, do you have any prospect questions or anything?
Yeah, as far as prospects, Zdeno Chara's retiring after 2018. He's got to be. I don't think he's going to play past 40. Do you think Charlie McAvoy is going to fill in his shoes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the Bruins at the very beginning, right after they drafted him, they said that we're going to see him really soon. We spoke with Kirk Luedeke on one of our podcasts at Days of Yore, and he said that he would be surprised if you don't see him next year, if not the year after. So we're looking forward to him coming up really quick.
Yeah,
I
and
don't necessarily think he'll spend a lot of time in Providence,
do you think that'll
if
happen
any.
with Sporl as well once he turns pro? Jacob
I don't,
Sporl?
yeah, I'm not too sure about him. He's more of a question mark for me. I think if they were going to bring anyone right in, it would be McAvoy. I could see them putting Zboril a little bit more time in Providence and seeing what he's made of. I just think that Charlie is the one that they're all kind of got goo eyes over, and that's who you're going to see first.
Yeah. Have you watched any of Jacob Forsbacka Carlson play?
I have watched none of
None?
him. I know nothing of him.
Okay. He did okay in the Beanpot this year. The Beanpot just finished up. I think their
Mhm.
team finished third or fourth. Yeah, he's a centerman. He's probably gonna fill in Patrice Bergeron's shoes down the line. Not anytime
Okay.
soon, but he'll be pretty decent. Jake DeBrusk. What do you think of DeBrusk?
I love Jake DeBrusk. I'm so glad you brought him up because I wanted to talk about him. So I think he is fantastic. Being that he's a Swift Current Bronco, we played in the WHL. We have a WHL team here,
Yeah,
Medicine
the
Hat Tigers.
Tigers. Yeah.
So he was a Bronco, and then he moved to the Rebels before signing up with the Providence Bruins. I kind of like him. I hope we get to see him very soon. He's doing quite well down in Providence, which is fantastic considering what happened with his injury. I didn't know if he was going to be able to come back and recuperate as well as he has after that.
Yeah,
'Cause that was pretty.
I like
You've
the
heard
fact
about
that
right?
a lot of your top prospects are all Jacob or Jakes. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah,
So
it's like a
three
theme.
Jakes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a theme. Well, we have 3 Davids right now, so we want 3 Davids and 3 Jakes.
Oh, perfect.
There we go.
Malcolm Subban, is he still recovering from that throat laceration that he had last year?
I don't. Well, it depends what you call recovering. I know that he's playing.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of sour on Malcolm Subban, and I
Really?
think yes, I am because I don't know if I expected more because I had heard and I had seen and everybody was, oh, Malcolm Subban, and I haven't seen what everybody else has seen, so I'm a bit of a cynic when it comes to him.
Yeah, and really he has another 5 years of
Yeah.
learning how to be a good goaltender because Tuukka's not going anywhere, I don't think.
No, exactly. I would rather, yeah, Tuukka's not going anywhere. Please
Yeah,
don't go
yeah.
anywhere.
let Subban play in Providence and like hone his skills and have like Zane
Mhm.
McIntyre come up and be a backup for Tuukka.
Yeah, potentially. That they tried that and it didn't really necessarily go the greatest, but they need to figure out their backup situation. That's another problem with the Bruins right now. Figure out your backup goalie.
Yeah, and let's not hope it's Subban. Let Subban play as much as he can in Providence.
Exactly. He needs time to develop.
Is there any other prospect you really want to mention?
Those are really it. The one that I don't really know if you can term him a prospect anymore is Peter Cehlarik. He's playing for the Bruins, for the Providence Bruins, but he did have a couple games stint up in Boston, and I was hoping honestly that they would keep him up because the kid's fantastic. Like I think he's 18 goals and 14 assists in Providence this year. He's got 2 games played for the Boston Bruins, 2 assists in those 2 games. So I really like him. I had hoped that they would keep him up, but they didn't. For whatever reason.
All right. So there seems like there's a fair bit of holes with the backup goaltending, maybe depth on D, and maybe even some forward holes, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think with all these holes they're gonna still make the playoffs? Do you feel that?
See, okay, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have been like, heck no. But now that they've had this little surge, if they can continue this, then sure, I think they'll make the playoffs. Do I think they're going to make it far? No.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get through maybe through one round, and then the wheels are going to fall off. This team is, I think they could make the playoffs, but this team is not playoff contenders, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And then do you feel good with the main core of the Bruins that they have right now to be consistent playoff team, contender per se, or no? Or is it time to, like I said, that's what I thought. I don't know if they are, especially coming into the season. I thought Krejci and maybe some of the guys, it's time to trade them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel?
Well, the one problem with the Bruins is that their core is so freaking big. How many core players do you really need? Because we've got Marchand, Krejci, Bergeron. I've heard Back has been referred to as part of the core. You've got Chara, you've got Tuukka. Like, I think they need to define what their core wants to look like going forward and who their guys are, and pare that down a little bit. Krejci could go. Depending on what they got back, I would potentially be okay with it. But I just don't know. In the future, it's all a big question mark because they have all of these players that I'm like, probably shouldn't be a Bruin.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm looking down the line, I'm like, nope, don't want you. Adam McQuaid can go. Oh my God, Adam McQuaid can go into the fire. He is so bad.
Yeah. So there are a lot of question marks with this team. I think we'll leave it at that. You know what? Bree, thank you for coming on the show. And of course, we're going to tweet everything out on Jablem Hockey and on our website. Thank you for coming on the show, Bree.
Fabulous. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's compare time, Paul. You've got the Panthers. I've got the Leafs. Who has a better shot at making the playoffs, Paul? You go first.
I got one question that you have to answer as my 1 minute starts. Who are the best two players on the Panthers?
Barkov, Ekblad.
Maybe Huberdeau. Maybe Huberdeau.
I don't know. He's so on and off for me, though. I don't know.
The fact that they've been missing Barkov and Huberdeau for a majority of the season. Barkov 15 games. Huberdeau has only played 4 games this year. He's got 7 points in 4 games. With these two guys back, they're going to play much better hockey. And you spoke of Ekblad, who is not having a very good season, not even points-wise, not even defensive-wise. He's a minus 18. If he gets his game turned around because Barkov and Huberdeau are back, that's going to help out the whole team. The Panthers are a much better team than Toronto, and they are going to make the playoffs over Toronto. They will be the 2nd or 3rd spot in the Atlantic Division.
The Leafs are going to make it because they just are. Okay. Basically, that's all I wanted to say. But if I get into it a little bit, exactly the opposite of what the Panthers are. They're always injured, and the Leafs aren't, and it doesn't seem like they will. Maybe we'll put an asterisk in. Let's see what happens with Marner right now. But that's the other thing. I think, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later because of trade rumors, they haven't traded or even thought about really moving JVR and Bozak. And if they're still even near that spot in a week or two, I don't think they will. And that's the reason why the Leafs will continue to have a playoff spot, because Marner's clicking so well with JVR and Bozak and with everybody being healthy. That's one of the reasons why Leafs were so bad that last year, because they were missing JVR and Bozak and some of the other guys. But specifically that they're playing well, and that's why I thought Marner would have been in an even better contention for a Calder, because he's clicking so well with these guys, and maybe not if they get traded. But if they don't, they have a great shot of having one of those top 3 Atlantic spots.
My rebuttal? 2 words. Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah, maybe, but it angers me so much that he's so invisible when it comes to playoffs, though. So yeah, he can hopefully get them in there, but man, it'll be a tough time for me picking Panther guys to do much in the playoffs if they get there. So.
Yes, I agree. I don't think they'll go any deeper than the first round, but they will make the playoffs.
It's a tough one. It's very close. It'll be tight, even with the Bruins. And if Ottawa continues to play well, they should be fine. And especially with their goaltending, Ottawa's goaltending is really helping them. But if their goaltending falters, you never know what could happen too.
Well, and they might become sellers if they start moving Bobby Ryan, which is a rumor as well. So
yeah,
who knows what Ottawa's doing?
For sure. Paul, do you have any fantasy up and down for us?
I do. We're going to start with some ups. Brandon Dubinsky, centerman, 26% owned, ranked 10th in the past 2 weeks. 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points in those past 2 weeks.
Dubinsky.
Yeah, he's playing really well. A guy that has been in the doghouse and has turned his game around since Waite has taken over. Ryan Strome of the New York Islanders, 29th ranked in the past 2 weeks. 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. He's only 5% owned, so I'm sure you're going to be able to get him in your league. He is center and right wing eligible, so that is definitely a benefit. A guy that is going to be in your free agent list that you could probably pick up for his hot streak, Christian Dvorak for the Arizona Coyotes.
Wow.
He's center and left wing eligible. 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points in the past 2 weeks. Pretty good. He's starting to come around offensively. Maybe Max Domi's helping that out, and maybe Oliver Ekman-Larsson playing Oliver Ekman-Larsson like is helping the whole Arizona team. So, yeah, Christian Dvorak would be a great add for 1 or 2 games until he goes cold again, and then you move him out, just like I say every other week. Goaltending, Carter Hutton, past 2 games, 2 shutouts. That's why the St. Louis Blues have turned it around with Mike Yeo. I don't think it's just Mike Yeo coming in and changing the team. They're not changing the team that much mid-season. I just think the goaltending had to get better, and Hutton is doing his part with the Blues, and Jake Allen is getting some of his starts. But if you need a backup goaltender or a goaltender because like Pavelec is hurt or Luongo went out last game, you could definitely pick up Carter Hutton. He's only 14% owned, so he's probably available. And downs, I'm kind of changing the way my up and down segment works. I was kind of telling you who to drop, but it's really difficult to tell you who to drop and benefit you because your teams are, everybody's teams are so different. So I'm going to go with injuries that have happened in the past and who you can drop from an injured guy or put him on the IR. So Robbie Fabry just went on IR. He's out the rest of the season. So 1-year leagues, get rid of him, gone. 21% owned. He should be much lower than that. Unless you're in a keeper league, then you want to keep him. Pavelec is now on the IR. He is practicing, so he's going to come back soon, but you might be able to get a goalie start in there, like Carter Hutton, let's say. Travis Konechny's out 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle injury. I don't know if he's on IR yet. He should be very soon. 2 other guys on IR that you shouldn't drop because they are going to be coming back. Paul Stastny has a lower body issue, and Sami Vatanen has a lower body issue. They're both 33% and 58% owned. So don't drop those guys. Just put them on IR and pick up one of the other guys I put in my ups.
It's going to be a struggle too for the Jets if Pavlik's out. Depending on when he might come back for them, and even now Toby Enstrom's out, 2-3 weeks maybe.
Yeah, I was going to put him in the list, but he's not that fantasy relevant anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have him, but he's big for the Jets. All right, let's move on to some trade rumors. I don't want to talk about the big guys right now because next week we're going to drop our pre-trade deadline episode. So stay tuned for that next week. We're going to go out with the big names, Shattenkirk, so on and so forth, Iginla. But some of the names that are out there right now that people are talking about, I've heard from, I think Darren Dreger was tweeting about, was Lazar from the Ottawa Sens. So he's rumored to be moved, obviously. They want to get a high pick for the former first rounder, which is odd when he's had, 1 assist in his last 29 games. How do you expect to get a high pick from a player who's not playing right now? I think the last time he even played was like February 4th. And his value must be insanely low if he's only had 1.29 games. So I don't know what Ottawa wants out of it. And I know some of them have come out and think that Duchesne of the Colorado Avalanche, the Avs want so much for Duchesne. But how can you want that much for Lazar, who's just not playing well right now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his agent came out and said he wanted a trade request. So
yeah,
he's definitely going to get moved. But depending on what the asking price is, it might be.
They're gonna.
Might be like
they're gonna need to
It might be like a Jonathan Drouin type where they just don't get enough, but I don't think they have enough patience as Stevie Y does, so we'll see.
No. Yeah, so his value is pretty low, in my opinion. They shouldn't be asking for anything more than like a third, in my opinion. But obviously for wings, they have to be sellers for the first time ever. It's kind of awkward position now for Ken Holland, right, and those guys. And then, of course, we do want to say a sad goodbye for the Red Wings and their family of the past of Mike Elich. And he made such an amazing move by trying to develop the city, and with obviously Little Caesars and everything, and with the Red Wings and the Detroit Tigers. But it's kind of an odd feeling there now with the passing of Elich, and as well, what it looks like the Red Wings not making the playoffs in how many years, Paul?
26?
25 or 26 now, so it's crazy. But it looks like, from what I saw, Khan from M Live says that Vanek could possibly fetch a second rounder or a prospect and pick combo. So that's what it looks like for maybe Vanek and a few of the other guys. I hear maybe even Steve Ott and maybe a defender could be moved. So it looks like Detroit will be sellers this year for sure. And then last but not least, a guy that I kind of like that played on the Leafs last year was P.A. Parento. And of course, he was pretty good on the Leafs power play in my opinion last year. He was playing decent, I thought, for the Devils earlier on in the year. I think he has like 13 goals and so many assists as well. But he's been demoted to the third and fourth lines. So, and of course, I think his cap hit is like 1.2. So he's probably going to get moved, even though he probably wants to stay with a team. But you can put him on your depth lines, and he'll still be able to score a few goals for you in the playoffs. So I think he will probably be moved, and I think he could be a decent addition to any team. And those are a few of the trade rumors that I want to talk about. And that's it for this episode. Another thing we wanted to say was congratulations on Alex Tanguay is now retiring. And as well, I think he's joining the NHL Network as a commentator. So congrats to him on that. He had a great career, too, for the Avs and the Habs and everything. And those runs with the Avs were really cool when he played. And that's it for this episode.
And Peter, one last thing. I just want to throw out my bye-week beware article again, because this week is the February 20th to 26th week is absurd of how many teams have 1 game or 2 games, and very few have 4 games. So go check out my article to make sure you are up to date on how many games your guys are playing. It's kind of ridiculous. The bye week is taking full effect this past week, and next week is just, I think there's 9 teams on each week, so it's kind of crazy.
The bye weeks are pretty crazy with the teams that aren't playing and the teams that are. So yeah, check out Paul's article on JablamHockey.com. We've got lots of other blogs out there that we've been working on, so check them out, and more coming in the next weeks. So check that out, and that's it for this episode. Next episode, of course, we're going to do another Team ISO. But again, also check out our pre-trade deadline episode. We'll also be putting out next week. And that's it. Again, if you haven't done it already, go to iTunes, resubscribe or subscribe to us, rate and review us, and go to our website. Check out our games notes when you're listening to our podcast if you can, and check out our blogs. See you next week.
Bye.